Hey everyone, Harris here with NYIslesNation, joined again by NYIslesNation Pete, the founder of NYIslesNation. Doing a couple of quick hits today here. A lot of news coming out from the NHL Combine. Going to be talking about six things. First things first, Mike Misa. There was a report today, I think by Cam Robinson, that he wants to be a Shark, and that was quoting Malcolm Spence, who's also a prospect, his roommate at this year's Combine. First thing. Second thing, Cameron Schmidt, Sascha Boumedienne. Islanders are linked to the both of them right now. We're having conversations with them. Does that make sense given where we're drafting right now? I think our second round pick is 43rd overall. 3, James Hagens. He says he wants to be an Islander. He wants to bring a cup to the island. He says the good people of Long Island deserve it. His father saw it when he was back as a kid in 1983. That was the last time that we've seen it. He wants to be the one to bring it back here. He's out in Newsday with a quote on that today. Matthew Schaefer, number 4, does not participate in a bench press today. He does not participate in pull-ups. He was active for the rest of the day, weighed in at around 183, 6'2". Number 5, Hagens, up 10 pounds since his last weigh-in about half a year ago, early January. And number 6, Isles also speaking with Porter Martone, who is currently the 3rd or 4th ranked prospect, depending on who you're talking to. All right, here's how this is going to work. We're going to start this. It's going to be a 15-minute kind of thing over here. We have 15 minutes on the clock. I'm going to start that clock. When that starts, we're going to go straight into it. So ready, 15 minutes starting now. Mike Misa.
All right, so for Mike Misa, let's start there.
Yep.
From what I gather, the Islanders only had dinner with Matthew Schaefer and James Hagens this week. So from his point of view, he's probably like, what the hell? It might seem to him like the Islanders don't have interest in him. It could be all a smoke screen. We don't know. Crazy stuff happens this time of year. But from what we've read and what the Islanders' actions show, it doesn't seem like Misa's a real consideration for them at 1. So he's moved on to the second best thing, which is the second overall pick.
I think so. Listen, my quick take on this, Mike Misa, I think that he is in play. The Islanders did have dinner with him. They had dinner with James Hagens. They had dinner with Matthew Schaefer as well. I'm not sure if they had it with anyone else. I think there was a report that they might have gone Porter Martone. I'm not sure. Mike Misa, though, is saying right now, according to Malcolm Spence, that he wants to be a San Jose Shark. He wants to go to the Sharks. Is there room for Mike Misa on this team? Do you view him as the best prospect, the best forward prospect in this draft?
No, I think James Hagens is the best forward prospect in this draft.
Tell me
why.
But
it's funny, though, because if San Jose somehow does, I guess if the Islanders do draft Schaefer at 1, San Jose would then pick Misa at 2. But San Jose is probably also targeting Matthew Schaefer at 1, considering they have a surplus of forward prospects, and they don't really have much of an answer behind Dickinson on defense. And there's been a lot of talk that they want to trade up to 1 to get to the Islanders' pick to draft Schaefer, which, in my opinion, is something the Islanders should consider doing, especially if they are enamored with James Hagens and want to make the hometown kid their pick. They can get value in the process by moving down.
Absolutely. And also, on top of this, let's just talk Chicago Blackhawks right now. Chicago Blackhawks, as you see on my screen right now, they are looking to also trade up and grab Mike Misa. That means there's 2 potential targets here, or people targeting Mike Misa. There's Chicago, there's San Jose. If San Jose presumably would keep him at 2 if Islanders win Schaefer. What do you think about Chicago? Is he a fit on Chicago?
So hear me out. The Islanders have the 1 pick.
Yeah.
They trade it to San Jose. San Jose takes Schaefer. The Islanders then have the 2 pick that they got from San Jose. Say they get a couple other assets. Maybe they get rid of a contract in the process in that trade. Maybe add someone like Chernyshov, who was an early second-round pick last year, had a great year in juniors. Maybe get rid of Engvall or Duclair or Mayfield, a contract like that. And then the Islanders have the second overall pick. And Chicago wants to draft Misa, make another trade, move back into the bottom half of the first round, maybe 25th overall pick. Yeah. Say you get 2 for 3 and 25, maybe add another piece from the Islanders side. Mm-hmm. And then you're down to 3. You've added 3 or 4 assets in the process, and you still get the guy you want in James Hagens.
That's absolutely true. We'll get to this as you're talking about right now. Pete is basically saying, "Hey, Islanders, trade down 1, go to 2. Maybe San Jose takes Schaefer, then 2 to 3. Misa goes to the Chicago Blackhawks. Misa is a fit with Chicago. There's been discussions in Chicago. Is Connor Bedard the long-term solution at 1C? There's not a really big consensus on this right now. He's a 5'10" center. There's arguments to be made that those kinds of guys don't succeed in the playoffs. Maybe Mike Misa, a 6'1" guy, put up in huge numbers over in the OHL with the Saginaw Spirit this year. Maybe he's the answer to their center problems. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Cameron Schmidt. Let's talk about Cameron Schmidt right now. Today, the Islanders were linked to Cameron Schmidt. They were also linked to Sascha Boumedienne. These guys are, depending on who you ask, ranked in the early 20s right now on a lot of this. This is the Athletics mock draft. We also have over here Elite Prospects NHL Draft Guide. Cameron Schmidt ranked 22 over here. Athletic, they're ranking Sascha Boumedienne 24. The Islanders don't have a pick till 43. What do you make of this?
It is interesting. Obviously, they can explain it away by saying that they're doing their due diligence and they're scouting the start of the second round to end of the first round. They can always trade up late into the first round.
But they don't have a pick in the late first round right now, as you say.
Yeah, exactly. But the Islanders could have an early second round pick. They could package that, maybe a pick next year or a later pick or prospect, something like that, move back into the late first round. But also there's a chance that, Cameron Schmidt, this is what excites me about the Arch right now. This is the type of player that will, in recent years, has fallen in the NHL. I believe he's 5'7", 150 pounds.
Yep, 160 pounds.
Yeah. Tampa has succeeded drafting guys like this.
Braden Point's a great
Johnny
example.
Ward, Braden Point. We saw him in the playoffs. We just have a bunch of short players buzzing around the whole time. And, if the Islanders can get someone like this at 42 or 43, whatever their second round pick is, that's a bet I'd like to make.
Absolutely. What do you think about the fact, as just to go right back to what we're talking about with Mike Misa, moving from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3? Well, guess what? Chicago has the 25th overall pick in this draft right now. Do you think that this is something that the Islanders are thinking about as in connection with potentially going to 3? In connection with potentially going back to 3 to take James Hagens, they might want that 25th overall pick this year. Go ahead and draft Sascha Boumedienne or Cameron Schmidt.
It's all out there. It's all a possibility. I mean, we obviously have no idea what they're thinking. They could have already decided they're taking Schaefer, and the pick could be in an envelope sealed somewhere, and all this could just be useless conjecture. Or they could be exploring their options. I mean, I'd hope they're exploring their options, considering that, like we said last podcast, James Hagens was a consensus first overall pick, and then he was somehow surpassed by a guy that didn't play the second half of the year.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Let's talk. James Hagens. He says he wants to go back to Long Island. He wants to bring a cup to the New York Islanders. He wants to bring a cup to good people of Long Island. I don't know if you saw the Andrew Gross Newsday article on that. What do you make of it?
I mean, this is music to my ears. This is why I am willing to take the risk and draft him first overall and potentially look stupid in the process. I mean, when's the last time we've had a guy here that bled orange and blue? Maybe Rick DiPietro, and that was not even like real bleeding orange and blue. That was, I signed a 15-year contract, so I have to pretend to bleed orange and blue. But like, this is the dream. He comes here. We already think he's the best playmaker in this draft. There's a more than 25% chance that he's the best player to come out of this draft, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He wants to be here. He will not leave. And he's just the type of forward that he's been compared to Jack Hughes. I've seen some Barzell.
Yeah, and
you get someone.
And the thing is, you look at his stats. We talked about it last time on the podcast. Stats not great with Boston College this year. You look at but the thing about James Hagens, he's a dynamic player. He has dynamism out of his ears. Mike Misa, a little bit more of a John Tavares type player, playing from the dots down. What do you think about that mold in today's NHL?
Yeah, I'd obviously rather have someone that can be creative and create down low. I mean, obviously, there's nothing wrong with John Tavares. This guy's consistently scoring 30-plus a year, and he's, 37 now? He's had some MVP-level seasons for us. He's making $11 million a year for a reason. He's a great player. But if you look at the guys that are dominating the NHL right now, it's not really the Tavares mold. It's someone like Kirill Kaprizov or Nikita Kucherov who could scoot, who could create plays out of nowhere. These are the type of players that you should be building your team around.
Absolutely.
And yes, Hagens is small. It's good to see he got bigger. And, all this talk about him being smaller than Misa and Misa being more NHL ready and a more NHL body. James Hagens did more pull-ups than Misa did today.
That's absolutely right. He's at 11 pull-ups today, and as you mentioned, we'll cut right into this topic. James Hagens up 10 pounds. One of the biggest criticisms of James Hagens this year by people like Corey Prom and by people like Scott Wheeler, they say that he can't get to the middle of the ice. They say he can't cut into the slot. They say he's getting pushed around by bigger people at colleges that are playing at the age of 24, that are playing 24, 25-year-olds, and he's getting bullied the entire time. They don't think that translates into the NHL if he's not going to be able to get to the slot. What do you make of him putting on 10 pounds?
And it's only a positive. And, the combine to me is nothing. Like, I don't even care much about it in football. In football, it actually translates directly to the game. But, like, you look at Sam Bennett, I think it was, who did 0 pull-ups. And right now he is the definition of grit and intensity in NHL playoffs.
Right.
So, I mean, it's good to see he got bigger, but I'm not going to put too much stock into the overall bench pressing numbers or whatever. It'll all work itself out. These are 18-year-olds. I know I was much smaller at 18.
Do you share concerns, though, that he might not be able to get to the middle of the ice?
No. I mean, if he had problems getting to the middle of the ice, he wouldn't be at this point in his career.
Right.
He would have already taken a tremendous fall down the rankings.
James Hagens, one of the most dynamic players at international competitions with the men's development team at the USA men's development team last year. At Hlinka, fantastic tournaments, one of the best players on the ice every single time. This year, and to his credit, he addressed this in a recent interview that he gave with NHL.com draft class. He addresses the fact that he's playing against bigger men. It was a transition year for him. He understands that he needs to get bigger. This is a guy that if he were to have gone into the OHL this year, he would have lit up the OHL. I think even Corey Pronman, who put him at 11th in his mock draft for playoff contenders or whatever, playoff draft picture, he even says that he would be a phenomenal player for any OHL team. Meanwhile, you got people like Mike Misa. Mike Misa, nothing to detract from Mike Misa. Mike Misa is a great player, but he's playing this is his third year in this league. He was in exceptional status in the first year as a 15-year-old. He's playing with Zane Parekh, one of the best all-time defensemen in the OHL. He's got a hell of a team over in Saginaw. I believe they were in the Memorial Cup Finals last year, right? It's not the same. He's playing against kids. James Hagens is playing against men. All right, moving on. Let's talk Matt Schaefer, who is the projected number 1 right now. Matt Schaefer, I don't know if you've heard any of his interviews. The guy just oozes leadership every single time he talks. He sounds like a great guy. The guy wants to be an Islander. He says, I've heard nothing but good things about the New York Islanders. It makes you want to go play there right now. He has also been linked to the New York Islanders. He's having dinner with the New York Islanders. He's, doing interviews with the New York Islanders. And all the Islanders, Andrew Gross, you got all the beat guys, and Arthur Staple, they're asking him questions. It seems like they got him in a freaking corner. Do you have any concerns? Just to rewind it back a little bit, World Junior Championship earlier this year in January, breaks his clavicle, doesn't play for the rest of the year. Or for several months, rather. Do you have any concerns that he's not able to do a pull-up today, that he's not able to do a bench press today?
No, I think that even if he was able to do a pull-up or a bench press, he probably would opt not to. I think that's actually what the case is. He claims he can do them, but decided not to because he hasn't prepared for it. Uh-huh. And the last thing you want is workout numbers that don't really mean much to impact your stock moving towards the draft. Wow. If he's not prepared to bench or do a pull-up, and he underperforms, and then he has to talk about how he's been rehabbing and how he's not at 100% just yet, it's just a mess that he can avoid by not doing it. So,
absolutely, I totally agree with you. I think Matt Schaefer is likely to be the number 1 pick. If you look at his numbers this year, he's still putting up 22 points. He's on pace for roughly 85 over a 66-game season, which would be one of the best OHL seasons of all time, behind Zane Parekh. I think that he's a hell of a skater. He gets an 8 here from elite prospects. If you go through the rest of these guys, they're not getting 8s either. They're getting 7s. They're getting 6s. There's clearly an element of skating here. If you watch his transition, the guy can transition super well. He's a really great player. He also has a phenomenal expected goals per 60, shots per 60. He's positive in all these things. And the last thing about Matt Schaefer, again, we talked about it last time. He's born on September 5th, right? He's still 17 years old right now. He has not turned 18 yet. He will not be 18 until I guess the training camp begins. He is a young guy. He's about a year younger than James Hagens. Do you think there's a lot more room to develop because of that?
Yes, and that's where I think it can get dangerous as well because you are drafting him based on projection. Obviously, he's shown spurts and flashes, but he's also just missed more than half the year. And you're enamored with the tools, like you said, the skating,
Yeah.
the hands, the the ability to get the puck out of his own zone. You're enamored with these tools, but you haven't seen it put together that much on the ice
Yeah. It's
as
all.
much as you hope for from a first overall pick.
And we got about a minute 20 left on the clock here, so we'll be speeding this one up. I'll note one thing. You're absolutely right. His season prior to this season at the OHL with the Erie Otters, he did not put up good offensive numbers. He was forced to address that today in the press conference. Basically said one of the things that people criticized me my first year at the OHL was I didn't put up good offensive numbers. I made sure to address that. Last topic, Porter Martone. Islanders look to Porter Martone. Do you think the Islanders go off the board here with Porter Martone? Is there a chance that could happen?
I would be shocked. I think that they have it so made with Hagens that if they're going to go off the board, it's going to be with Hagens. If not, it's going to be Schaefer.
Porter Martone, again, there's a lot of criticisms of him with his skating. He gets a 5, and I don't have his info up at the moment. He gets a 5 from elite prospects in his skating. He does have good vision. He does have good sense. He does have good passing. And people will say that he has good hands. But you know what? To be honest with you, I'm not sure that works in today's NHL. What do you think? 20 seconds.
I agree. And I also saw today that Utah was configuring it on Brady Martin, I believe it was.
Yep.
Ranked in the mid part of the first round. I think he was ranked like 16th amongst American skaters. And the Utah picks 4th. So it could be another Bennett Seneke situation, but also it could signal, as we discussed last time, that Utah is open for business.
And there's our timer. It just went off, and we'll go quickly over before we got to get going. Last thing to discuss here, I do want to bring it up as it happened as, I caught wind of this as we were on. Elliot Freeman talking about the fact that in previous years, Utah would not entertain offers on their first rounder. This year, it's not a no regarding moving their 4th overall pick. Do the Islanders have a package good enough to offer them for the 4th overall pick? Where does it start?
Obviously, if Hagens is somehow still available at 4 and the Islanders want to move up, that is where I would be most interested. The draft, if the first part of the first 3 picks are some combination of Schaefer, Misa, and Martone or McQueen or whoever else, and Hagens is still there at 4, then the Islanders probably would be interested in moving up. And for me, the package would start with Dobson because I am not comfortable with paying him the money he's going to get on a long-term contract. So I would look to move on from that. For you, I believe you said you would start a package around Bo Horvat.
Yep.
I don't know how realistic that would be. It would probably take a lot of financial maneuvering and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if Horvat has that kind of value. But, I mean, the Islanders also have 2 firsts next year. They have the 42nd pick this year. They have some prospects that they might be able to move on from with a new regime. So I don't know where it starts. It could start anywhere.
I think that you're looking to move Dobson. I think you're right. That's the most attractive thing to Utah. They likely move Sean Durzi coming back to us. They paid a 2nd round him. They extended him. Dobson going their way. That gives them an elite defense right now. They have someone that can put up over 60 points on the right side of Mikhail Sergachev. The reality here is for New York Islanders fans, this is the last thing before we got to go, right? We're already 2 minutes over time. Last thing is for the New York Islanders, Noah Dobson is 25 years old. If we get him on an 8-year contract, we're only going to get up till about 31 of his prime, age 31, 32, 33. He's not in his prime anymore. You got 6 years. What are the likelihood that the Islanders are competing in the next 2 or 3 years? I put it at basically 0. They're not going to compete until he's 28 years old. You're getting 3 years of his prime at a point where we might be contending. That is not worth $10 million a year. He should be on the move. Pete, thank you so much. We were close. We'll have to do quick hits next time. Thank you so much for joining. Listen, guys, like, subscribe. We'll be doing this. I'm going to be doing this. I hope Pete will join me some more. I love doing it with him. We'll be doing this throughout the season, talking all things New York Islanders. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.